A very good evening and welcome to a Date with Interset program number 180. Top of the board, as they say, December the 3rd, and it is certainly December, isn't it? It certainly is no longer summer. It's been a rather nipping few days. I do hope this finds you well. And in the ongoing saga of sound on a date with a dinner set, we are trying something yet again. We've replaced wires, we've replaced microphones. We have put something new in place today. We will see how it goes, so good luck that we don't snap, crackle and pop. You are most welcome to this program. Very good evening to everyone in the chat room. I'm sorry if I haven't said hello to you in person, but there's lots of people here. Hello, Richard, everyone, Alison, Jill, Kate, etc. Yes, indeed. So here we are. And I know, at the risk of repeating myself, I've said it before, but that was a very quick week, it seems. It seems only a shake, if not two shakes of a lamb's tail, that I was speaking with you and indeed playing for you last week on a date with a dinner set. Amazing how time goes on. Yes, well done, Kate, and then seconded by my brother. That was indeed the wonderful theme music to the Goodies with their equally iconic typeface that they always used. And there they are, Tim Brooke Taylor and Graham Garden and Bill Oddie with their Trandom there. What an iconic series that was, wasn't it? And I think it ran to 9 series, in fact, over 70 episodes. Absolutely amazing. And I don't know how well known this one is, but it was actually composed by Mr. Bill Oddie, who calls himself a birder, an artist, a conservationist, a musician, songwriter, actor and comedian. Still very much with us, and he composed that really groovy Goodies theme music. It's always been a mystery to me, and I know it is to a lot of people, why the Goodies never gets repeated. It's probably something to do with fees and repeat fees, and I think falling out with the BBC in the end. I'm pretty sure something like that. Anyway, here we are again on a date with a dinner set, well and truly in December with the weather that is to match, though I do detect that today, certainly in these parts, compared with yesterday, is positively tropical, with the dizzying heights of around about 9 degrees. It certainly has been bitter, hasn't it? So we have our usual mix of 9 pieces of music this evening. Usual mix of a bit of film music, musicals, something in triple time, some Latin, some oddities, something new, something appropriate. I wanted to say that's something inappropriate. No, quite a mixture of things. And good evening, Maggie, and all the Robertsons. How lovely to see you. Yeah, quite an unusual start this time. We've had it a few times before, and you are quite forgiven for not knowing its title. Its title is very boring, but I will give you a visual clue along the way. Visual cue and a visual clue. Anyway, do enjoy the programme, whether you are listening live or indeed, as many of you are, on some sort of catch-up. Do stay warm, do a little run on the spot if you're feeling the cold this evening, and enjoy the programme. You think correctly, brother. Indeed. We've had that a few times before, and I include it because it's a rather nice piece of music, and it's called the Galaxy Bossa Nova. And as my brother said, it was a promotional disc. It was actually written in 1967 to promote Galaxy Chocolate. And I know it because we had it as a single in our household. And I suspect, Brother Mark, and you might be able to back me up on this, that it was something to do with our father who had this penchant for a bit wombling, no other word for it, picking up dirty sweet wrappers everywhere, washing them, ironing them, and keeping them in scrapbooks. Is that correct? I remember he had thousands of these wrappers for sweets and things, with the idea being that you know, in the days when you could send off for things just by sending a stamp or goodness knows how many Galaxy wrappers, and you got these things in return. And I do remember throughout our childhood, certainly with us three elder brothers, how lucky we were because father was able simultaneously to sort of get three lots of things because he had all these wrappers. Maggie, I can't answer your question about that because no one else is saying they can't hear, so I don't know. But that's what it was, and it was composed by this man, Mr. Johnny Johnston, who was a singer and a songwriter, but most importantly with Johnny Johnston, he was known as the King of the Jingles. And by the time he died in the 1990s, he had over 4,500 jingles to his name, not all in the UK. But some of his most famous ones, Johnny Johnston, include Beans Means Heinz, which must have been a pretty well-paid gig for 3 notes, to be quite honest. And perhaps his most famous one and one of his catchiest is You Can Be Sure of Shell, that song, for those of you that remember that one. Really good tune. So that's what that was. The Galaxy Bossa Nova, we reckon from about 1967, to advertise Galaxy Chocolate, composed by King of the Jingles, Mr. Johnny Johnston. As always, if you like what you see and that 99% of you can hear, Maggie, I hope you're able to solve that, then do press the thumbs up button, the like button. It will illuminate for you to tell you that you have done it. A sip of coffee before we go on with our next song. Incidentally, as always in A Date with a Dinner Set, if you like, do tell us what you've got for tea tonight, apart from lardy cake. That will mean something somewhere, I feel sure. Hello, Anne, Ian, etc. Yes, indeed. Who was? I don't know who was first on that, but loads of you knew it. It was indeed the song "If," written by David Gates and as originally sung by, well, he sang it, but with his group Bread, and it was from. Sorry, I just looked at the screen now. And that's for 1970s for you folks, in a nutshell. 1971 is the date on the tip of your tongues. And a wonderful example of soft rock, a very pretty tune, wonderful lyrics, and surprisingly well known in this country. Thank you, Richard, you're very kind. Surprisingly well known in this country, considering it didn't really chart much. And yes, Telly Savalas's version was very stylish in a sort of non-sung way, wasn't it? Yeah, but it is a very, very, very beautiful song, 1971. Johnny Mathis did a very nice version as well. Oh dear, Maggie, I wish we could help you. Oh, you can hear us. Wonderful. That's important. Well done. Very good. So if you're new to this, but I think everyone in the chat room isn't new to this, but if you want to take part in the chat, you do need to be subscribed to GG the Piano Man. You need a Google account for that. It costs you nothing, of course, as indeed is the case with everything on YouTube. What a wonderful thing it is. If you want to know when things are happening on this channel, press that bell notification, which will give you a choice of options, whether you receive all notifications, some notifications, or no notifications. So here on GG the Piano Man, as you know, we do this live program every Sunday at 18:30. We also have a video upload every Friday, which are currently seasonal ones. So there you go. That's what happens on this merry channel. But you know that if you're in our chat room. But interestingly, much more people. Many more people listen now on the catch-up to the live, just, you know, changing lifestyles, I guess. And it seems that during the week, last week's Date Within a Set had clocked up 180 views. How bizarre. But this should now be 180, program number 180. Sorry, I'm just reading this back and trying to make sense of this, but I think I've missed a few lines in the process. Oh yeah, you're talking about your everything you're eating. Mark, you're correct. Our father did like lardy cake. I'm quite partial to it. You can't get a good one now, so I shall try yours, chap. Now, I have heard of that. I don't eat porridge, but I have heard of that make of porridge. Other makes of porridge are available, folks. But enjoy it. Whatever you're eating, whatever you're drinking, do enjoy it, and whatever to keep warm this evening. So our next piece of music this evening is our new piece of music on A Date Within a Set for this week. We always have one new song, or at least we have done for about a year now. And this one was very much inspired by an incorrect guess last week. But in all fairness to the person that incorrectly guessed that, it was remarkably similar. And that's the reason that it put it into my head that we would have that this week. We've not had it before on A Date Within a Set. I don't know why. It's pretty famous, so I do hope you enjoy our next song, which is our new song of the week. I'm lucky, Richard. Yes, yes, they are very useful to have those tents, I must admit, and sometimes 11ths when it's not quite so cold. Thank you, brother, for that comment, which I'm not quite sure how we should respond to that on a family show. But yes, indeed. Well, it is. It is. Where is it? Where is it? Well, I know I can see it, but you can't. Hang on. There we go. Yes, indeed. It is. Well, you know, it's the first Sunday in December. It's Advent Sunday for those of you that partake of that sort of thing, and that is a Paul Smith Christmas decoration. Other makes of Christmas decoration do exist, incidentally, but there we go. So, as you correctly identified, Hannah, you were very quick in that. I'm pretty sure you were saying that during the verse, so you must know it from the verse. Excellent. It was indeed. I get a kick out of you. Champagne something. I kick off. What are you kicking off about, Jill? Why are you cross? I'm not quite sure what that's about. And it was, of course, from Anything Goes. Anything Goes, the so good I named it twice. I Get a Kick Out of You, 1934 was that musical. And, of course, it was famously revived in 1987, and a few more songs were added, a few taken out, made into a film in 1936. Originally, that song was sung by Ethel Merman, very famously. It's one of those that's been covered by so many people, all the people you can think of. I don't know, Frank Sinatra, Dolly Parton, Ella Fitzgerald. There's a particularly wonderful and very touching duet by Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga out there. Have a look at that. Anyway, the reason we had I Get a Kick Out of You is because last week we had Neil Hefti's Cute, and the melodic material of that is just so similar. It is absolutely spooky. So don't forget, as I say, to give it a like, a comment, a share. You can like it now. You can comment, I think, as soon as the stream ends. Share it on if you know other people that might be interested in our merry little channel. And if they're not subscribed, then they jolly well should be. Yes, indeed. Something about champagne. Jean, isn't that, you know, does it matter? Just for champagne, it'll be absolutely fine. But that's what it was from 1934. Now, here's one that we haven't had for a long time. In fact, nearly 3 years. I know. But it's just one of those that always seems to get forgotten. I'm not quite sure why. Because it is a very beautiful song. I feel it will be known to you. So do enjoy our next song this evening. I'll just let you be mesmerised a little longer. Indeed, it's always nice to find bits of video on YouTube that don't have a copyright attached to them, and this is taken from a 4-hour sort of loop of liquid something or other that's swirling around in something else. I mean, it's rather nice. This is a general abstract to send you to sleep. As indeed, very quickly off the mark again, Hannah and indeed Mum. I think you were both neck and neck there. It was indeed Always, and Always was composed in 1925 by Mr. Where are you? Mr. Irving Berlin. And in answer to your question, Alison, he composed it for his wife as a wedding gift in that year, and it is a rather beautiful sort of triple time thing. Interestingly, it came into, thank you Richard, it came into public domain in 2021, so that's sort of indicative of its age. I really am fascinated to know why we've not had that for so long. As I say, I think we had it in January 2021 in those dark and distant lockdown days. Indeed, you're very kind, Jean, and I'll be loving you always too, my darling. Okay, so that's it's good to know. Now, I don't wish to sort of dwell on the cold aspect of things, but you may, and speaking indeed of Irving Berlin, you may or may not have seen this week's upload, which was the first of our December seasonal uploads, something festive, if you like. And so up on the channel on a Friday the 1st of December went Snow by Irving Berlin, which was originally composed for the film White Christmas. And it's lots and lots of fun, a very jolly song. For those of you who don't know it, give it a look. There's a link in the video description. Yes, so that's on the channel, Snow by Irving Berlin. Now, where are we? I'm sort of getting myself left behind with the left behind chat. Yeah, it's possible, Jean, you might be 15 seconds behind down in Wiltshire. It's probably the snowdrifts. I know that they can be a problem down there occasionally. Yes. Now, don't say you don't get variety on this channel. Here's another one we haven't had for a long time. In total contrast to the last one, I do hope you enjoy the next iconic bit of music. But this one's only about 40 years old. Ah, well done indeed, Richard. Very quickly there. Indeed. Thank you, Mark, for supplying the group. It was indeed Nightbirds by the group Shack Attack, and as composed by their keyboardist Bill Sharpe. A wonderful piece of music, I think. 1982 is the date on the tip of your tongues. It was from their second studio album, and the name of the album was indeed Nightbirds. Quite an amazing, unique jazz funk band, still going strong after 43 years. Yes. Well, there we go. As I say, that was a bit different, wasn't it? We haven't had that one for a bit either. So I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of a contrast, so to speak. So, you know, before we go on, in addition to it being Advent Sunday, for those that partake of that sort of thing, we mustn't forget that, thank you, Richard, you're very kind, sir. We must not forget that today is a very important day, not just Advent Sunday, not just December the 3rd, but it is also Green Bean Casserole Day, December the 3rd. I do not make these up, I promise you, but I do look out for the more obscure ones. Most of them come from our friends across the pond in America, and I had to look up what green bean casserole was. I'm not sure really. Basically, it's beans with cheese on the top. It's not a particularly sophisticated recipe from our American friends, but it looks okay, you know. Alison, I couldn't agree more. I mean, what, you know, you lot are terrible, really, you know, Richard. No, you're all lovely. We like that. Anyway, so have you had enough green bean casserole? Alison, what about a bit of green bean casserole to go with your, was it gammon and porridge? No, I've probably got that bit mixed up. What are you having? Gammon and lardy cake and red wine if it's my brother. What a mixture. Fascinating. So there we go. Oh! Good morning, Daisy. You've missed it. Oh, well, what's going on? It's 7:10. What is going on? Well, can I say, Daisy, you missed Galaxy Chocolate. Really? We're going to move on with, because I've been wittering just a little bit too much this evening. We're going to move on with our next equally famous song, Do Enjoy. In the corner of my eye, I saw it all flashing in. Where is Love, of course, from Oliver, 1960, composed by Lionel Bart. And there, I hope you'll be delighted with me. I found a particularly, sober, and I mean that in every sense of the word, picture of Mr. Lionel Bart where he's not wearing something bizarre or smoking something bizarre. But quite a wonderful song, that one, from an absolutely wonderful musical, in my humble opinion. But whenever I play anything from Oliver, it's always for me tinged with a little bit of sadness about what happened to Lionel Bart, because he was so overcome by the success of that it sort of sent him off the rails a bit, shall we say, and he partied very hard, and very quickly, through excess, lost all his money. Chris Pritchard, hello. Wow. Nice to see you. Gosh, I don't know what I'm talking about now. Oh yeah, I was doing my my Lionel Bart. Yeah, get comfy, everyone. I was doing my Lionel Bart anecdote. I always feel a bit sorry about it, because, as I say, he partied hard on everything that you can imagine partying hard with in the 60s, including people, and he was so hard up because of the debts that he accumulated that he sold the rights to Oliver for £350 to Mr. Max Bygraves, no less. And I also think that's rather sad, because Max Bygraves very famously some years later sold it for millions and millions and millions. And poor Lionel Bart sort of died in absolute poverty. I think that's fairly well known, that. Anyway, I said, I can open the piano again now we've done that. As always, everything you watch on YouTube is free, of course. The beauty of YouTube, aren't we lucky to have this facility, relatively easy to broadcast whatever it is we do on this channel. And it always is fun to play for you. If you feel thus moved to make a donation towards the upkeep of this merry little channel, not only for the coffee, but perhaps more importantly for the electricity and the fast Wi-Fi, do consider a donation. The link, as always, is beneath the video description, and it is www.paypal.me/GG the Piano Man. Yes, so where are we? How are we doing? Oh, here's an appropriate one. Enjoy. It is sad, Alison, isn't it? And I feel sad even recounting it. He did enjoy many aspects of his life for a time, but I think the financial aspect yes. Wow. Hannah, that's really confused me now. I'm just reading all that about the fish. Fantastic. Might be appropriate later on in the show, not too much later on, by the way. Anyway, enjoy our next song. Yes, indeed, cold feet, as those reindeer said. Well, it's December, and it's been a bit nipping, hasn't it? So I thought it was time to bring out the reindeer for the first time this season. We normally have them at Christmas because they're dressed up as Christmas reindeer. But I'd like you to know that especially for the tempo of that one, I did actually go to the effort of slowing down their little merry dance to fit in with the tempo of that one. So now, not only do we have dancing reindeer on A Date with a Dinner Set on Gigi the Piano Man, we have them at various tempi to suit whatever music. I know. So that was indeed Cold Feet, as composed by the wonderful Mr. Peter Skellern there, in a very sort of hot-looking concert there. I bet the keys of that Bösendorfer were somewhat slippy, based on his forehead. What an amazing man Peter Skellern was. Very, very sadly missed. Wonderful pianist, songwriter, singer, etc. And that little-known instrumental track was from his 1980 album Still Magic. And it's very, very sort of French in sound. Look it up on YouTube, the original. It's worth a listen to the original instrumentation with a muted trumpet and an accordion, and do look it up. There we go. Yes. Another dirty piano. That sounds like some of the chords I make, Hannah. And that's a pretty dirty piano sound. I know what you mean, though. Isn't it weird how often on A Date with a Dinner Set we feature pictures of people playing pianos that are incredibly dirty, covered in fingerprints. And I suspect what it is when those photos are taken, they've just been sort of manoeuvred into, stagehands and manoeuvred them, and somebody has forgotten to go round with the Mr. Sheen and the microfiber cloth. You know how it is. It's easily done. But that's what that was from 1980. It was Cold Feet. Now, just before we move into the sort of final section this evening, just this is what's happening on my channel. And there we go. We've started our seasonal uploads. And they will continue on our Fridays as normal. On Christmas Eve, we'll have a calming date with a dinner set at 1700 at an earlier time. A non-speaking, you can chat away, but it'll be sort of non-stop calming carols while you wrap the presents, make the mince pies, all that sort of thing. And then as New Year's Eve is also a Sunday, we'll have a special New Year's Eve date with a dinner set at 18:30. That's what's happening on the channel. We will now move into our penultimate song this evening. Daisy, you better get this one right. Yes, indeed. As Richard very quickly said that, closely followed by Daisy. That was Laura. And taken from the film of the same name from 1944 by David Raksin. And the reason I'm sort of speaking slightly peculiarly, just to prove you lot all wrong, only just before we, let's talk about me now. Just before we went on air, I was polishing the keys and the side of the piano. So everything you can see, I polished just before we went on air, I'll have you know, with my Mr. Sheen, which has gone peculiarly missing. By the way, other brands of polish are available. In all fairness, until very recently, the lid of the piano, which you cannot see, well, the other side of it, was somewhat dusty, and I'm not quite sure how that happened. I put it down to a sandstorm and possibly climate change as well, but very luckily my son happened to be here on Friday afternoon and took it upon himself to wash the lid of the piano. So it is a little bit, thank you, Hannah. Actually, it's just the glow that's reflecting from my face and my very vibrant personality. So there you go. I think it's time to move into our last piece of music. But before we do, I think I've been extremely well behaved, very restrained so far, and it now is December the 3rd. So before we actually do the last piece of music this evening, we do have to do this, don't we?
Only 3 more weeks to Christmas. Only 3 more weeks to go. And only when we spick and span and everything is kicking can the nose on Rudolph glow. Only 3 more weeks to go.
I guess I've been very restrained so far. Do enjoy our last song this evening. Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid, originally from 1989. The first film in the so-called Disney revival. They could do another one of those, in my humble opinion, as composed by the wonderful Mr. Alan Menken. So that was our lively way of ending this evening's A Date with Vanessa Set programme 180. Isn't it amazing? 180 programmes here on December the 3rd, Advent Sunday. So there we go. I've had, as always, wonderful fun playing for you. And I hope that I hope it warms up a little bit this week. I hope you have a very good week that is to come, whatever it is you get up to. Brother Mark, do save me a bit of that lardy cake if you will. Forget posting it though, I just don't think that's very advisable with the way the postal service doesn't work. Anyway, do take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for being here, listening in and commenting. As always, great fun to play for you. A very good night to you. Good night.